I would like to remind you of other things that you need to do this week besides watching these videos. First of all, remember that on every week of this course there will be a series of readings that expand on the content of these video lectures. On this first week also, remember that there is an exercise that will be described in the forum, and this is one of the requirements. You will need to complete this exercise if you are planning to apply for a certificate at the end of this MOOC. Also, there is a quiz, and that's another thing that you need to complete if you are planning to apply for the certificate at the end. And finally, there are also optional video tutorials about software tools. So those video tutorials would teach you, for example, some elementary principles of spreadsheets to manipulate data and to clean up data. And there is another video tutorial about how to use a data tool that I use myself to transform data called Data Wrangler. This is a free tool. At the same time, and just to finish this video, I would like to mention data sources, because this is one of the most common questions that I usually get when I do a course like this. Where do you get this data? Well, I usually work with publicly available data, so I go to sources that are the usual suspects. So I get tons of data from the United Nations, for example, or from the World Bank. I would like to mention just a couple of these sources because they may be helpful for you in the future if you want to find data to play with. One of them will be Gapminder. Gapminder.org is the website of Hans Rosling, who was a professor of global health in Sweden, who sadly passed a year ago. And Gapminder has a section that curates data sets that come from places such as the United Nations or the International Labour Organization or the International Monetary Fund. What the Gapminder Foundation does is to get all those publicly available data sets, and they clean them up for you so you can download them and start playing around with them in your data visualization tools. In some cases, these data sets will need to be transformed before you can visualize them. So there's a little bit of a warning. You will need to bring them up into Data Wrangler, for example, the data tool that I showed you before, in order to shape the data correctly before you visualize it. That's something that you can learn in the optional video tutorials this week. And finally, another source that I usually use are statistical agencies. The Census Bureau, for example, in the United States, the Statistical Office in Spain, or Eurostat in Europe also provides curated and very large data sets of European data that you can use in your own projects. Thank you for finishing week 1. I will see you on week 2.